Let me paint you a picture. You have done your research. You have narrowed down on the watch you want to buy. But then there's this confusing part. Split both ways. Do I want to get it from an authorized dealer, or do I want to get it pre-owned from the secondary market? Now, a lot of people have this thing against getting pre-owned things, not just watches, everything in general. There might be a stigma attached to it. Some people want the first user experience, and then you're torn between because of the price. Now, in this video, we're going to dive into that. So, before we go any further, I'm wearing my Tudor Black Bay 58. More on this watch in the course of this video. This is What Talk with Francis. I'm Francis. Let's get into it. Francis, let's get into it. So I like sharing my personal experiences in my videos. So let me tell you a personal story of how and the decisions I made when I was getting my Tudor Black Bay. I had stopped buying watches for a while, so this was like my re-entry into buying luxury timepieces, and it was the first one I was going to get after a hiatus, if I may use the words. And I did my research, had my short list, put a budget, and then I narrowed my list down, and I, selected the Black Bay. And then I was faced with the choice: do I get it from the secondary market, possibly pre-owned, or do I walk into an AD and get it? Now, remember, this was 2023, so the market was still a bit high, and some popular models weren't so easy to just get by walking into an authorized dealer, but I knew if I searched well enough, I would get that. Now, I decided to go with getting it from an authorized dealer, even when I knew for a fact that I would get it at a higher price. But I want to talk about all the decisions that I thought about before going in now. The first thing you really need to think about if you're trying to make that decision between secondary market or authorized dealer is, the most important one, the authenticity of what you're getting. Now, if you walk into an AD and you're lucky enough to get the watch you want from an AD, you are 100% guaranteed that you are getting exactly what you're paying for. An authorized dealer is an authorized dealer, so you are sure that authenticity is guaranteed. Now, not to say that secondary markets, you are not guaranteed the authenticity of the watch. You are with a lot of, but you have to be a bit more detailed about where you get the watch from. A lot of platforms, I always talk about Chrono24, I talk about Joma Shop, and I say eBay as well. And then there's a lot of companies. There's Watchfinder in the UK that you are almost guaranteed you are going to get what you want because they go through the authentication processes. Now, there are a lot of gray market dealers as well who do their fact-finding, do their due diligence, and have boutiques where you can go and you can buy watches. So with the authorized dealer, for sure, you're 100% guaranteed. With the gray market, you are guaranteed a lot, but you have to be careful where you go to buy because, you can get all sorts. Now, another thing that I would say the authorized dealers have above the gray market is the full manufacturer warranty. If you go and you buy a Rolex from an authorized dealer, you are 100% getting from start the full manufacturer warranty on that watch. Now, buying it pre-owned or from the gray market may have lost some traction or some time off that warranty. Now, mechanical watches, they need to be serviced, so you need to get the service history if it's pre-owned, if it's not been serviced. But when you're buying a brand new watch, like everything brand new, you are sure of what you're getting as opposed to getting it from the secondary market. Now, there are some watches that you probably will not be able to get from an authorized dealer. For instance, you might want Patek Philippe 5711, which is discontinued. There is no Patek Philippe boutique you can get that from. You have to buy that from the secondary market. So there are examples like that. And then on the same hand, there are some watches that are boutique only, which you can only get from the authorized dealer or the manufacturer's boutique. I mean, some of the boutique-only editions would find their way into the secondary markets, but it depends. You might now be having to get it at a premium or not. But there are those things that you have to think about depending on the watch you want to buy and what to go for. Now, my Black Bay, you could get it it's not boutique only, it's not a limited edition, so I could get it anywhere. So that wasn't really a factor that I had to think about when I was getting the Black Bay. But if you want a boutique only edition at the time where the watch is maybe new, you are hard pressed to be able to get it anywhere else but from the authorized dealer. Although these days, listen, the secondary market is bullish. They get any watch you want at any time. Now, this is the point where it gets a bit tricky. We're now talking about depreciation versus appreciation vis-a-vis secondary market or authorized dealer. Now, with my Black Bay, as I walked into the store and walked out, the watch lost value. I'm talking about 16% value. Immediately I walked out of the store. But I was ready to take that hit because of the experience that I was trying to get. Now, some watches, let me use a Rolex Daytona. You first get on a wait list, and then you waited, and then you get that evergreen call from your authorized dealer that there's an allocation waiting with your name on it. You rush there and you buy the watch from your authorized dealer. Once you walk out of that store with that watch, the value of that watch has gone up. There are not so many watches that fit into this category. I know a lot of Rolex models have that. Audemars Piguet models have that. Patek Philippe models have that. Richard Milles have that. Some watches do, and then a lot don't. So it depends on the watch you're trying to get. And a lot of watches who have that appreciation value from between the authorized dealer to the secondary market are hard to get brand new. Like the waiting lists are street long, so they're hard to get. And if you don't have the time to wait or the patience, you could just pay the premium and get it from the secondary market. So that's the tricky part. Some appreciate when you buy it from an authorized dealer, some depreciate. So it depends on the watch it is. Think about that and then weigh your options before you dive into it. Now, finally, and this is one thing you can't ignore. I have a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine, and she says she prefers, and I think human beings are divided in this way. Some people like experiences, some people like material things, like buying material things. And she has this theory. If she is going to buy something, she has to attach it to an experience. Now, that experience is something that you kind of get when you walk into an authorized dealer. Sometimes, depending on the brand, depending on what the watch you're buying, they sit you down in a nice place, they give you a glass of champagne, you take you through models, some models you've only seen on TV, pamper you because they're trying to get money out of you, and you enjoy that experience, and then you take your bag and you walk out feeling great. As opposed to just clicking on the computer, looking at the watch and getting it in the mail the next day. Sometimes, depending on the sort of person you are, it might take away, and then some people just couldn't care less. That depending on which of those people you are, that might be something to look about when you get in the watch. For me and my Tudor, I loved the experience. It was in Torneo in New York, around the Meatpacking District, and it was sentimental for me because, like I said, it was my re-entry into buying watches. So they were very nice. Shout out to all the people in that particular AD. They were nice to me. I had a very nice experience, and I walked out feeling like I was back into the hobby and the passion that I love. So listen, weigh all these options when you're thinking of getting and how you're thinking of getting the watch. This was World Talk with Francis. It was nice talking watches with you. Stay safe, guys. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Remember to share and please subscribe. Thank you.